Hello there, and welcome to the very first and introductory episode of the Aerospace Guru. This is our podcast. My name is Martin, I'm your host, and the aim of this series, which hopefully will start now and continue on for many months, is to bring you a little bit more knowledge and information regarding the support services to the aerospace industry. All the things that make it tick behind the scenes that people who travel through airports or involved in the industry from maybe an administrative point of view don't really appreciate or might not appreciate fully everything that goes on by many people to keep everything ticking over on a daily basis. And so by that, I mean, I want to focus on more of the civil engineering infrastructure, the electrical engineering infrastructure, but also not just the physical stuff that you see out on a runway or a taxiway or out on the apron or within the terminal building, but also the more virtual things, the software engineering. One of the things I've always been interested in over the past number of years is how we've gone from a more traditional, manual, old-fashioned way of doing things with, calculators, spreadsheets, pens, papers, everything you name it, into a more data-driven world. And I want to explore how that's affected people in their careers, how they've taken things forward, how companies are adapting to the changes that are there. So that's what I mean by the software side of things. But also one thing I want to make clear is that I'm also interested in the software behind the aircraft and all the support infrastructure that keeps everything going. So it isn't just civil engineering software or electrical engineering software. It actually is some of the more traditional things that keep aircraft running on a daily basis. So that's one side of things. Now, why have I done this? Why have I gone into an area that is maybe a little bit more obscure? Well, there are plenty of podcasts out there that deal with current affairs and news in the aerospace industry and the more glamorous things of flying and travel and Boeing and Airbus, leasing, engines and all that sort of upfront stuff that everybody sees looking out the window of an airport. What I want to do is I want to delve into the stuff that's behind all that, the stuff that you wouldn't see that happens. And that's the primary focus of this. Now, secondly, I'm a civil engineer by profession. I've always worked in airports, but one thing I've noticed over the years is that I've never really been able to merge my two interests, and that is my passion and my hobby, which is aerospace, with my career and professional interests, which are civil engineering. Now, I have worked in that industry, which is civil engineering in an airport environment, but that's all it is. So with this podcast and with this whole Aerospace Guru venture, the idea is to try and merge the two interests and hopefully bring a better picture to people who want to know how things function. That is really what everything in this podcast is going to be about. So how are we going to deal with that? Well, the direction I want to take it is I want to do some features, technical features on specific topics. I want them to be technical in nature. I want them to delve into the innards of how everything functions. But also I want to look at the organizational side of things. One thing I've noticed over the years is that the aerospace management process, and by that I mean how aerospace companies manage their projects and their programs, is quite, I want to say unique, but it is very intense and very regimental. And I've always found that it is a model from which to actually apply to other industries. So I want to delve into a little bit more also the management side of things, how we can bring the way the aerospace world looks at following through on projects and taking that into more traditional day-to-day public-facing engineering works, which may be civil or electrical in nature. And the second thing and the last thing I want to deal with is, weekly or fortnightly, maybe monthly, we'll see how it goes, commentary on infrastructure-related developments. If you read any of the major magazines, they all focus on the airlines and the support supply chains to those airlines and airports, but no one really ever deals with the developments behind it, the funding mechanisms, the small projects that help airports grow on an annual basis, and then the actual infrastructure that keeps things moving. So I want to focus on a little bit more about that. And that really is how I intend this podcast to go. I really would appreciate if you guys follow me along on this, and welcome you all once again to the Aerospace Guru Podcast.